Welcome to the Front Seat Life podcast. This is Jessica Butts, your host and CEO and creator of Front Seat Life, where I help you be unapologetically who you are in your life, love, and business. Hello, Front Seat Lifers. It is your host, Jessica Butts, and it is 2 days before Thanksgiving. I am sitting in my office, my home/office here in the Seattle area, getting ready to have a full day of clients. And then also, of course, what everybody else is doing, I need to go grocery shopping. My man and I are having some people over, some friends over on Thursday, and I'm a pescatarian, for those of you who didn't know that. So we are going to have a little bit of an unusual Thanksgiving. We're having salmon. We're going to have some salmon and some green beans and lots of veggies and all the yumminess, and play some games, and of course drink a bunch of wine. So I am thinking about Thanksgiving just as all of you are, and this episode goes live on Friday. So all of you are hopefully laying around with your tofurkey or salmon, or I guess your turkey hangover, and hopefully enjoying some time with your family and your friends. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And this whole time of year, for the next 4 or 5 episodes, as I was last week, I am talking to you about end of the year goals, end of the year planning, end of the year releasing, new year planning, all of those kinds of things, but specifically around intuitive types. So I have heard from a ton of you, if I'm being honest, like DMs and Facebook messages and reviews and all kinds of messages coming in. By the way, I love getting reviews, hopefully 5-star reviews over on iTunes. It's a great way to connect with me. So please always feel free to go over there and leave your comments about how this may be impacting you, hopefully again in a positive way. However, getting back to the episode, I want to bring you a bunch of different tools, again, especially for intuitive types. So for anybody who's listening to me or knows me at all, knows that I am a strong intuitive type. My passion are for intuitive types. Not that I don't love you sensors. I do. I have plenty of them in my life. I actually have plenty of you as clients as well. But my jam is really about intuitive types, because we truly are the weirdos of the world. We are only 25% of the population, and therefore we are met with all kinds of resistance. We are met with confusion. We are met with pushback, really, from society, scholastic schooling and scholastic testing, 9-to-5 jobs, all the things that I've talked to you about ad nauseum in my books and this podcast and my website, and kind of everything that I do is really to help intuitive types, one, of course, first understand who they are, understand why they are different, so that they can then understand how their brain literally processes information differently than 75% of the population. And if you're anything like me, an intuitive, you grew up feeling weird. I will never forget these feelings that I used to have in school, especially when I started my 9-to-5 job, and just looking around and thinking, am I the only one who doesn't give a shit about this, or processes information differently, or doesn't want to be here, or you don't need to tell me when to come in, like I will work when I want to work? There is an intuitive way to do things that is very different than 75% of the population. S's, sensors, are tactile, live in the moment, here and now, touch it, taste it, hear it, smell it, see it, factual kinds of people. And intuitives, we are completely different than that. We actually don't really care about facts. We take in information via our sixth sense, our intuition, our gut. So different than sensing types. And so it basically makes everything in our life different. Everything in our life is different than sensors, because it's how we are constantly taking in information. And so as an intuitive type, this has really been my goal in all of this, in helping high performers helping high achievers, helping those that are into personal development, definitely helping the entrepreneurs of the world, since so many intuitive types actually turn into entrepreneurs because we have a dream and we have this desire and this will and this want to do something different in the world, and we want to live a different life. So almost all intuitive types have this desire and dream to live a unique and different life. And in that, we all oftentimes end up starting our own businesses. So anyway, this is a little bit of a side note, but I'm very, very, very passionate about helping entrepreneurs really get their shit together, if you will, before they start their business. Because what happens is so many entrepreneurs go out, they start their business thinking they're going to do it like everybody else. And the reality is we as intuitive types have to do things different. And today's topic is one of those. So I want to talk to you about why it is hard for intuitive types to move on. And the way that I'm tying this together with the end of the year is, what do you need to release? What do you need to get rid of this year? So last week's episode, I talked about rocks. And in that, I asked you specifically about who are your rocks? What are the rocks in your life? And then what do you need to get rid of? So today I'm basically going deeper and piggybacking on that idea, but in a new frame of reference, which is why is it hard for intuitive types to move on and release things? So I'm going to ask you two main questions today. Why is it hard? And then what do you need to release? So let me answer the first question is, why is it hard for intuitive types to move on? This might hit some of you. I've never talked about this actually on the podcast, so this is kind of new information. It is hard for intuitive types to move on because we are what-ifers. So, I mean, I'll just talk about my life in general, just to give you frame of reference and to know, like, I'm still a hot fucking mess like most of you. So, during my marriage, I mean, first of all, it's like leaving a marriage, which is never easy, but there was every freaking sign in the world. To be honest, I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't know why. I have no idea. But when we were even dating, there were so many red flags. But as intuitive types, I would say to myself, but what if? What if it was just a fluke? What if it gets better? What if this red flag is just a one-time incident? What if he is the love of my life? What if these are the lessons I'm supposed to be learning? Which is true. I mean, I absolutely wholeheartedly can say 100% I would not be doing what I'm doing today without having been in that 20-year relationship and all the lessons I learned, him being the opposite type. Like, it was a gift from God. Straight up 100% a gift from God. Our relationship changed my life, changed his life, changed other people's lives. Like, it's meant to be. It's all fine. Everything's fine. Trust me, everything's fine. And one of the lessons I learned is it's so hard for intuitive types to say goodbye to either a relationship or they hold on too long to things because they are what-ifers. We see the potential in what could be. What if he's the one? What if she's the one? What if this relationship is supposed to be? What if this, what if I'm supposed to stay in this job? What if I'm making a mistake? What if? And I don't really have, this is the worst part, like, I'm just giving you information. I don't necessarily have well, I guess I have some feedback on that about what you do with that. But as intuitive types, it is harder. This is just one of those blessings and a curse. I've said that numerous times, and I believe being an intuitive is absolutely a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because we're see the world different than 75% of the population, which especially as entrepreneurs and business owners makes what we have to share in this world very, very unique, because literally 75% of the population cannot see things or hear things the way that we do, which again, if you're going to go into business is pretty freaking great because that's a lot of people that are your clients. However, it is a curse for a number of reasons as well. And one of the curses is we are over loyal, or the saying says loyal to a fault, oftentimes because of our intuitiveness, because we are, well, what if it gets better? Well, what if I'm making a mistake? What if? We are see potential kinds of people. We are what ifers kinds of people. We listen to our gut. First of all, listening to our gut is always a good thing. So please don't let that be a bad thing. But, let's tie this into how a sensor would see it. So, when I was dating, which was for many, many years, I would talk to my sister about the facts. So she's an SJ and I'm an NJ. So I'm very, very, very intuitive. I am very optimistic in what if, and I very much go with my gut and my feelings and what my tummy is telling me. And I get this warm, fuzzy feeling. And my sister, as the sensor, would just be like, I'm just replaying so many conversations right now, like as I'm doing this. She would basically just say, shut the fuck up. Like, shut up, Jessica. Tell me the facts. Like, basically, does he have a job? Does he live in a van down by the river? Does he carry a gun? Does he wear a thumb ring? Like, she would just go through, like, does he wear a puka shell necklace? Does he have, oh my God, I hope she's listening to this. These are the things that we would go through because these are the facts that intuitives don't necessarily want to look at. We don't love the facts. We love the ooey gooey yummy feeling. We love, but he's got such potential, or, he's so, creative or loving or fun or so good to me or whatever. And I know you guys too, as intuitives, we often don't listen to those facts. So this is why sometimes we make questionable decisions, let me be honest, even though our gut is our number one predictor, it also keeps us in things oftentimes longer than we need to be. We stay longer. We want to see the potential in people. We do this with our clients. And this is why we have to learn to trust our gut too, because in fact, I just had somebody the other day, it was potentially going to be a $10,000 client. And I got off the phone and felt actually pretty good about it. So my gut was good. And then she came back and asked about, 20 very, very, very long, very sensing, very detailed questions. And Stephanie, my assistant, sent me the message and was like, wow, are we sure that she is an ideal client? Because this is very S. This is definitely not trusting your gut. This is really questioning everything. This is very, again, not kind of your ideal client. Are we sure that this is even somebody we want to take on? And I said, yeah, I did have a good feeling about it. But I said, if she, pushes back after you respond, which again, we spent probably a good hour or more answering those questions and having conversations about this and giving to her. We said, like, if she still pushes back, we get to be done. And she did. She pushed back again. And we just thought, okay, this is probably a good time to walk away. But those are one of those things where oftentimes we have to look at the facts, because sometimes our gut may or may not answer all of the questions for us. And so this is when we have to look at a time for us to be able to ask those people in our lives, to ask the sensors, hey, can you help me with some facts here? Because yes, my intuition is almost always up, but if it's not giving us accurate information or giving us the information we need in that moment, sometimes we need to go check with S's in our lives. So for me, when I was dating, that was absolutely my sister. My accountability partner for the last many, many, many years has been a sensor. other. And we really help bounce things off of each other. Like I'll help her like see the big picture and trust your gut. And she'll help me, look at those kind of detail-y things of like, are you sure? Here are the facts. And so again, I want to go back to, in order to release something, we have to know that it is doing detriment to our lives. It is time to release. I feel like I'm finishing up a bit of a 3-year cycle right now in terms of some relationships in my life. The Front Seat Life community, I have been going live at 8 a.m. on Monday morning for 3 years. Not gonna lie, pretty proud of myself. And it's time to move on. It's time to release some things in my life, as it is for you, to make room for the new. And I wanted to, again, piggyback on last week's episode about why this can be harder sometimes for intuitive types. We go back to asking ourselves, but what if, and what if, and what if, and what if? And my practical advice on that is a couple of things. One is I always sit with something. Always, always, always. In fact, when I don't, I always regret it. When I leap at a decision, in fact, Stephanie and I have a new pact that I have to sit on something for at least 24 hours because sometimes I will jump too quickly and then I will inevitably always, always regret that decision because I didn't let my gut guide me. And so we need to learn how to sit with things for a little bit. The other piece of advice, which 2 episodes ago, actually, or maybe possibly 3 episodes ago, I was talking about this idea around giving away our intuitive power. So what I'm about to say, I don't want to conflict with that. So the sitting with it, the journaling it, the processing it, the praying about it, the asking the universe. My dear friend Jenny Dawn is always so great at that. I mean, even though to her, it's almost always a hell yes when I give her some sort of opportunity or fun thing to do, she always says, let me just check in with my spirits. Let me just check in with my gut and my intuition, and I'll get back to you. And that's how we need to be. So giving yourself 24 hours, 48 hours to sit with it, pray about it, to ask your spirit guides, ask the universe, whatever you need to do. And then the second part of that is asking the rocks, the most important people in your life that you trust, that, here's the caveat, that are all so similar to you in your life. So as much as I love the sensors in my life, I don't often ask them for practical business advice because they're not my ideal client and they don't get typically the way that my brain works. However, when I need factual data, sometimes I will check in with them, but I will also check in with my mastermind. I will check in with my best friends, and sometimes I take their opinions and sometimes I don't. And again, that's about when are you giving away your intuitive power. So today's episode, again, I hope this day after Thanksgiving, as we're getting ready to release some things, we're going into a brand new decade. I really, really, really am passionate about helping you during this time of year understand your intuitive power. Why? Why? You are different than 75% of the population. Again, I'm getting so many messages from you guys that I love about, God, I never knew that this is the way that I need to goal set. And I never understood this is how I need to pick my rocks and why I don't do things the way other people do things. And so next week's episode is going to keep going. I'm just going to keep piggybacking on this, and I'm going to talk about one of absolutely hands down the most powerful things that I do in my life and my business are I pick theme words and why theme words work for intuitive types versus sensing types. Sensors love SMART goals, the Peter Drucker system, and we intuitive love more loosey-goosey kinds of things like theme words. So, okay, I hope today's episode was helpful for you about why it is so hard for intuitive types to let go of things and move on from things, and some practical tools on how to, figure that out and move on, and what you need to release so that you can go into a new year. And you might need to sit down with somebody like my sister who's going to tell me, like, shut the fuck up, listen up, ask me the facts, tell me the facts, so they can possibly help you move on if you are staying too intuitively stuck on something in your life that you desperately, desperately need to let go of. All right, everybody. Again, enjoy your day after Thanksgiving. I hope you are having an amazing, amazing long weekend, and I will see you next Friday. From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is always starting with your personality assessment tool. It's available on my website at jessicabutts.com. It's totally free, and it will help you figure out your personality type so you'll have some idea of what we're talking about. Next is, if you're interested in hiring me for a keynote or some coaching or strategy days or the fabulous and amazing Front Seat Life community, you can find out all about all of that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.